Most photographers are buying filters that they don't actually need. And today I want to take a minute to talk about the filters that I brought with me on this trip. I'm actually traveling, as you can see. I'm at the ocean in California right now, and I only brought 2 types of filters with me on this trip. And I want to talk through how I use them, why I use them, and how they allow me to create the photo and video content that I'm here to shoot for several different clients. So to get straight to the point, there's really only 2 filters you need: a polarizing filter and an ND filter. This is a variable ND filter, and it works. These 2 filters combined, they work for 99% of the scenarios that I would use a filter on my camera in. Now, I'll show you all the filters I brought, but they come in these 2 varieties, and I have them in my bag there. We'll get into that in a moment. But while you're down looking at the description, you can check out the filters that I recommend, as well as hit the subscribe button if you find this helpful. All right, so first let's talk about the polarizing filter. Now, this filter is great because it cuts reflection, whether that's leaves, water, glass, and that in turn really brings out the vibrant colors that you get on those subjects. I used to think it was just for water, but really you notice it when you start shooting things that you might not expect to have reflections, which is often foliage and things that you get out in the environment. Now, I really generally just keep my polarizer on all the time because it just works well. Usually it's cutting some sort of reflection that really I think finds improving my photos, and there's really no downside except when you get in low light, and that's when I will take it off. Usually after sunset, and when the light starts getting low, you need that extra stop or stop and a half of light that the polarizer tends to cut out of your lens. So that's a great time to take it off. Now, 3 quick tips for using your polarizer. You're gonna wanna use it at its most functional angle, which is 90 degrees to the sun. So if the sun is over there, shooting this direction, you'll get the most polarization effect. However, you wanna keep eye on things when it comes to wide angle lenses. So at 16 millimeters, if you rotate that polarizer, you will see a potentially dark spot show up in the sky. And that can be hard to fix in post, so just keep an eye out for that and make sure that it's not ruining any of your photos. And lastly, on cloudy days like today, where there's almost no sunshine present, you can skip the polarizer. It's not really gonna do much. Sometimes I leave it on just because I have it on and I'll play with it and see if it's actually making an impact, but generally, if it's fully cloudy, you can skip it. Now, my approach for polarizers is to have 1 for each lens that I am utilizing in my bag. So I've got this one fits the 70 to 200, this one fits my 50, and this one fits both my 24 to 70 and my 16 to 35. Sometimes I even carry 2 so that when I'm switching between those 16 to 35, 24 to 70, I don't have to take off the filter and switch it to the new lens. And you can use things like step-up rings and get 1 filter that fits all of your lenses by threading those on the front and get the largest diameter filter thread that you have on any of your lenses. But I find that having 1 filter for each lens, it really just makes it more efficient when I'm switching lenses and I don't have to take off and on filters. But if price is a consideration, it may take some time to build up your filter collection, so you could just start with 1, and that's a great option. Now, the other filters that I bring is a variable ND. You can see it right here on the front of this lens. It adjusts nicely so you can get proper shutter angle when it comes to video. That allows you to keep your shutter speed at twice your frame rate and make things look how they should when it comes to shooting video on a mirrorless or DSLR camera. It also allows you to utilize the full range of apertures. Say you have a fast lens like a f1.4 that you want to shoot in really bright sunny conditions. You can put that ND on there and dial down the light without affecting the color. Now, really cheap filters can create some problems, so be aware that price is a factor when shopping for filters, and we'll talk about that more later. The variable ND filter is more flexible than, say, a fixed ND filter because you can simply turn that ring and dial in the exact exposure you want. For video, I explained why that's important. For photos, it's also great because you can shoot motion blur photos in the middle of the day. I'm by the ocean right here, and that's a fun technique to experiment with if you want to use a longer shutter speed in brighter conditions and not in, like, say, blue hour. So my setup is a 1 to 9 stop KNF variable ND filter, which I will link below. And then I also keep a variety of other sizes because That larger size fits a couple of my lenses, but I also like to have secondary ones that fit some of the smaller filter threads on my lenses. And I also carry a couple step-up rings, and that becomes a consideration. With polarizers, you typically want your filter to fit exactly the thread on your lens, because then you can attach a lens hood, and that allows you to avoid getting that sun hitting the front element or the filter. But with video, I often find that I can't use a lens hood with a variable ND because you can't reach it inside that hood to adjust it. So step-up rings are less of a factor when you're shooting variable ND video because you aren't gonna have that lens hood on there anyway. Now, you will notice that some videographers are using a polarizer and a variable ND in a built-in filter that combines the two. And that's great if you're shooting subjects that have a lot of reflection. You can fine-tune that polarization and then also adjust the ND. I find that the variable ND works fine for my use cases. I'm not that precise, and it's just a little bit fiddly to use that combo filter. Now, I thought I'd quickly mention some filters that I don't typically use and don't typically recommend, and that would be things like mist filters, color filters, or kind of specialty filters. There's a ton of that stuff on the market, and it can be fun to play with, but generally I find that Polarizer ND variable covers everything I need. And if you're shooting photos, a lot of that stuff can be done in post anyway. So it's more fun to spend time outside, less time fiddling with gear. I would stick to the basics. I think the one exception to this is maybe a really heavy ND filter. If you're out at an ocean and you want to get those really long exposures of the ocean, using a fixed ND filter with a really heavy darkening can be a fun thing to play with. That's just personal preference, but those are my recommendations. Okay, so now that you know my thoughts on filters, let's talk about how much to spend on filters and which ones you should buy. So I have a number of more expensive, let me grab. When it comes to, say, polarizers, I have several. I have some relatively cheap ones and some more expensive ones like this one from Polar Pro. And it can be tricky because when you're first starting out, photography equipment is expensive. Not everybody is a professional photographer with a bag full of gear. And so how much do you spend on a polarizing filter? But the reality is if you go too cheap, you get things like color casts, your filter, the threads just aren't really refined and they can get stuck on your lens, which is really annoying. And they just are kind of low quality. The coatings aren't good and it'll affect your image quality. So you don't want to go super cheap, but on the other hand, you don't want to go super expensive because, you know, if you spend $300 on a polarizing filter, that might be an exaggeration. If you spend a lot of money on a polarizing filter, you might tend to baby it and really be super touchy about when you put it on, and you're so careful that you can't focus on the moment and focus on capturing things that you would if you weren't so worried about dropping your filter that you didn't get the shot. So bottom line, I'm not too precious about my filters. I think it's good to go with a mid-range filter. I think K&F Concept is a great option, but if you want a really nice filter, you could go with something like the Polar Pro, but don't buy the cheapest ones. And in general, I would say don't buy the most expensive ones because sometimes you drop them, sometimes you lose them, and it'll really hurt if you have a very expensive filter. In addition to some filters, I also recommend getting a filter case, something just with some simple dividers that will allow you to separate your filters and keep them from getting scratched when you throw them in your bag. I generally tend to slip filters in my shirt pocket or throw them in places that I shouldn't, but overall they've held up pretty well. I've had this one from Polar Pro for quite a while and it doesn't have any significant scratches on it. So good luck preserving and keeping your filters nice. So hopefully you found that advice practical and helpful. I'll link to some filters below as I mentioned, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I hope that my practical photography advice can help somebody make some smart gear buying decisions. So I will see you in the next video, and thanks so much for watching.